Hi everyone, this is Heather from weddingsbyheather.com, where my goal is to equip you with the best techniques and tips to make you a better and more efficient photographer. In this Q&A video, we are going to take a quick look at Aperture, but first, make sure you check out my free workflow video series available on my website. This week's question comes from Ronnie, and she writes, "Hi Heather, I understand the concept of aperture, but I sometimes get confused when shooting. I think I just need more examples. Thanks." Well, first we have to start with what aperture is. Aperture is the size of the opening of the lens, and it dictates how much of the photo is in focus. I have this cheat sheet available for print on my website. You can find it via the link below. Let's zoom in and take a look at aperture. A large aperture, as shown on the left, let's say f2.8 for example, allows a lot of light into the camera and gives you a very shallow depth of field. A small aperture, like f22, lets in less light and has a larger depth of field. I love to use aperture to draw the attention of my viewer right to the subject. That is, I love to photograph with really shallow depth of field, but obviously you have to be careful depending on how much of the photo you need in focus. I am in fact an aperture priority shooter because the first question I ask myself when shooting is, how much focus do I need? Is there only one person in the photograph, or are there multiple people? How much focus should I have? And then I adjust the settings from there. So what I did for this video was took a series of photographs to help illustrate this a little bit better. I'm going to press I on my keyboard to bring up the information so you can see what the settings were. Obviously in this photograph, the aperture was very wide open. This is f1.4 on my 50mm lens. I then stopped that down to 2.8. You can start to see a little bit more of what's going on in the background. And then to 7.1, and now I can actually read the words on the sign. And then to f16 where everything is in focus. And I've included that small photo of the aperture in the bottom right so you could see what happens physically on your camera. Let's take a look at that backwards really quickly. We have f16, 7.1, 2.8, and 1.4. I encourage you to conduct this same type of exercise with your camera, but please note a few things. Number one, the aperture is dictated by your lens, not your camera. And typically, the wider open you can take that lens, the more expensive it becomes because of the glass construction. Also, distance to subject matters as well as subject to background. So the closer your subject is to your background, the less you'll notice this. The further away you are from the subject, the more depth of field you will gain. This was not intended to teach you completely about aperture. It was simply meant to be a quick overview and show you an example, and I hope that you found this useful. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.